enjoyment of Happy Death Day 2 is going to depend largely on what kind of movies you like in general. If you like movies with a strong comedic element, then you will like this movie. But if you're someone who liked the first one, which had comedy in it, but was mostly a horror movie, you might have a problem transitioning from the tone of the first one to this sequel. Because like I was saying, the first movie was like more of a horror, mostly a horror movie, even though it had like a lot of jokes in it. This one, they really ramp up the jokes and the comedy aspects, take out like about a third or half of the horror aspect of it. And they infuse a lot of like adventure, kind of Back to the Future stuff with time loops and things like that. That this movie, even though it has the same characters and has kind of the same sort of kind of storyline premise, the tone is like, it's almost like an entirely different movie than the previous one. So, you know, it's not going to satisfy the parts of you that like horror, Happy Death Day to you, like the first one did. It's almost a movie that they made just because they knew they could make a sequel. Because the first Happy Death Day, that made like a good amount of money compared to how much it cost to make. And so the studio was probably like, let's make a sequel. And so they were like, they made this sequel, this obligatory sequel. And, you know, this sequel I think was unnecessary because I think the first Happy Death Day was, you know, that was a complete story wrapped up. But this sequel came along and they're kind of like expanding the mythology and the lore to, you know, keep it going and make more money. And in a sense, they kind of, I think, have damaged what this franchise or this thing was about to begin with. You know, they want to explain, you know, how all this happened, you know, why the main character is in the time loop and why the time loop, you know, expands to other people in the main character's life, you know, from the previous movie. And in a sense, they incorporate things, you know, like Back to the Future, multiverse, you know, different copies of, you know, people in different dimensions and things like that, and quantum theory and things like that. And it just becomes, you know, it kind of goes off the rails, kind of, sort of. I mean, it makes sense, but watching the whole movie, I just felt like it was an unnecessary cash grab, I feel. So, you know, while it's a decent movie, it felt to me like it kind of cannibalized what Happy Death Day at its core was supposed to be about with the first movie. And in order to keep this franchise going, they're changing it into something completely different than what it was. So, you know, depending on how much money this one makes, there'll probably be a Happy Death Day 3, and it'll probably be the same kind of tone as this one was, not the first one. I'm assuming. You know, more of like kind of like an adventure comedy with a slight, you know, horror flavoring to it, more than like a full-on horror movie with, you know, a hint of comedy, if that makes any sense to you. So, you know, if you like horror movies, you might not really like Happy Death Day to you as much as you like the first Happy Death Day. But if you like adventure comedies that involve time travel and stuff, this is the movie for you. I personally thought it was just okay. I mean, it was decent, but it wasn't a movie I needed to see. And I thought it was kind of a letdown because I liked the horror elements of the first Happy Death Day a lot more. But, you know, see the movie for yourself and decide what you think. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.